All right, guys, we're back. And we did a little research and we found out some pretty cool things that were not a thing from 1945. Kate, tell them about. Just list them off. We're going to talk about some, but list them off.
McDonald's was one that we talked about. Was not founded until April 15th of 1955.
So what does that mean?
There was no fast food.
There wasn't even a thing. Like, it wasn't even a thing from, not even the World Series from 1908, but not even the pennant in 1945. Okay.
So the last time the Cubs had made it to the World Series, which was 1945, a new house was $4,600. A new car was $1,000. Gas was 15 cents a gallon. Minimum wage was 40 cents an hour.
15 cents a gallon?
Right. What do we pay now? Like
I'm paying like $2.49.
There we go.
I went to Jersey. It was $1.38, and then it was $1.83.
And they pump the gas for you.
Yeah. And you know what else is weird is that I usually tip them when I go, and like my Jersey friends are like, "Why do you tip them?" I'm like,
because it's a nice thing to do.
I don't know. They're pumping my gas for me. They're like, yeah, but that's their job. I'm like, you tip a waitress.
You should be able to tip the guy who's pumping or woman
I
who's
give them like a
gas.
buck or two, maybe $3, depending on like, you know.
How generous I'm feeling.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, 15 cents. And then another thing caught me that you said the NBA wasn't even a thing.
So what happened?
From the pennant in 1945.
So what happened was the last time the Cubs went to the World Series, there were 16 teams in the NBA and the Major League Baseball. There was 10 teams in the NFL. There were 6 teams in the NHL. And the NBA didn't exist, which I think is pretty.
I don't even know what to think about that.
That there were 16 Major League Baseball teams and 10 NFL teams. Yeah. And we were talking about, obviously, the 10 NFL teams are the Green Bay Packers, the Bears.
Bears.
The Bears. And the 6 NHL teams have to be probably the Canadian teams.
Like the Maple Leafs and like I don't know. I don't watch hockey. That's one thing I do not do. Stayed far away from that one.
So this Mets fan wrote on Twitter, I'm a Mets fan. The last time the Cubs won a pennant, the Mets were 17 years from existence.
Wow.
Right? How
does
crazy
that make some of the Cubs fan feel that like a new team just like, well, I mean, I guess that's the way I felt when like the Yankees got kicked out by the Marlins, and it was just like here's this team that's like not even like I don't even think it was like a decade old then when they won, and here's a team that had so much history and so many World Series, and yet they lose to a brand new team. Right. No, it wasn't the Yankees. It was
who was it?
It was no, it was the It was the Indians. Yep. Actually, I think that they did that too. And it was like, here's this team, and they're just a brand new team, and then all of a sudden, like, they just killed them. And like, I get it, but I mean, I want to know how that makes some of the Cubs like the old Cubs fans feel that like here are these teams that like, you know, these franchises were just made in, you know, like some of these franchises are still so young, not as old and not as the history that the Cubs have. Right. You know what I mean? So like, how do you feel as a fan seeing these brand new teams like coming out of nowhere, these brand new franchises coming out of nowhere and already winning World Series?
Exactly. That's
not even a decade.
That's got to be hard.
Exactly. Like that's got to be the most challenging part is being a fan. Not only just like the franchise itself, because just owning a franchise that hasn't won World Series is one thing, but being a fan, and some of these people are like, you know, like I'm a diehard Yankees fan. I live and breathe, but like being a Yankees fan has been not a hard life.
No, because we have 27.
Exactly. It hasn't been a hard life. I'm not gonna lie. It hasn't. I haven't had the same kind of fan life a Cubs fan has had. Right. A Cleveland fan has had. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's why
Diamondback. Like I don't have that kind of life because
a Colorado Rockies fan.
Yeah. I'm so used to a winning franchise that now we're going into those, you know, rough patches of those multiple seasons not making playoffs. You know what I mean? Now we're starting to get it. Now we're like, oh wow, this is how they feel. They've gone decades without winning
at all.
Decades.
Exactly. The weirdest thing I saw this morning on, I think it was my Instagram, or Facebook or something. Somebody had written in their senior class as their quote
1993. I saw that.
Yep,
this morning.
You saw that, and somebody was like, they're gonna win the World Series in 2016.
It said Chicago Cubs World Series champions 2016. You heard it here first.
I was like,
I was like, what if they win? That dude just predicted the future.
Sure, exactly.
2016. Sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable here.
That's okay.
How are you gonna predict? How do you just
how do you flat out make that prediction?
And I saw that picture, but I didn't see any interview with the guy. How did he just come up with 2016? Oh yeah, 1993. Oh yeah, 2016. That's when they're gonna go and win.
Exactly.
That's when they're gonna do it.
So there's other fun facts.
I can't even predict when the Yankees are gonna make their next win.
Exactly, because they're
prospect. You know what I mean?
Right.
I got none of that. This guy's predicting
World Series
almost 20 years into the future.
Sure. Which we would like to meet him. Maybe have him on the show.
Yeah.
So we can predict futures. So the Los Angeles Dodgers didn't even exist. They were the Brooklyn Dodgers at the time.
Heyo.
The last time the Cubs won a pennant, World War II had just ended. John Lennon was 5.
John Lennon was 5?
Mm-hmm, 5 years
John
old.
Lennon wasn't. Oh yeah, John Lennon wasn't even
a singer yet.
He was still. Can't say that on air.
Right.
Anyway. But we're just trying to show you that that's just
there's
a
lot
while for these fans, man.
And there's a lot of things that have changed since the last
Even
time.
Baseball has changed.
The whole game of baseball has really changed since the last time they had won a pennant. And which was interesting, the last time the Chicago Cubs had won a World Series, which was 1908, New Mexico, Arizona, Alaska, and Hawaii were not states. There was a much smaller country.
So we weren't even the 50 states of America yet. We weren't even 50 states.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Right?
These poor people, man. I feel for these fans.
I really do.
Uh-huh. I mean, I don't know what that's like, but that's just gotta be so
something.
Think about all the people that have died that haven't even been able to watch their team.
Hold on, I had that number.
3 million people.
It was 3.9 million people.
3.9 million fans haven't even been able to watch their team win a World Series or a pennant.
Mm-hmm. 3.9 million fans. That is sad.
That's sad. That's really sad. Moving on to more sad news. Moving over the gridiron. The Giants have officially gotten rid of
kicker Josh
Brown. Let's give a round of applause for the Giants. Thank you, Giants, even though your reputation is still probably
not intact.
Not intact at all. So, we knew. Okay, so when did we even find out? This was last week.
So this stuff happened last week, but his abuse with his wife, I guess, has been going on for 2, 3, 4 years because they got a divorce in 2015.
Right.
And they've been divorced for a while.
Well, he wrote that letter. And he was like, I've been abusing her for a while and blah, blah, blah. Okay, here's what I don't get.
Why didn't they release him as soon as they figured it out?
No, not even that. I mean, yeah. That's one thing. Why didn't they do that? But here's the other thing. Now, I'm going from, into the relationship view.
Mm-hmm.
You're a woman, right?
Exactly.
A guy hits you.
There's no way I would stay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay? Why would
First off, I'm not putting myself in a position to get hit.
Exactly.
Because that's one thing. And if a guy thinks he's really going to be able to hit me, then I'm dumb enough to have been able to put myself in a relationship with him.
And then they have kids. I don't know if she stayed with that marriage just because they have kids. I don't know. Some people tend to stay with a marriage in an abusive marriage because of the kids.
Again, I don't know what abusive relationships are like.
Exactly.
I don't even know what a relationship is like.
Okay.
But you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But
I mean,
after you get hit the first time,
you think you would be able to walk out and leave.
You think you'd be like, hold on a second here. Something's wrong. You hit me. Okay. You hit me once. All right. We need to talk about this. And we got to get your stuff out of the house. That's one thing. I want a divorce. That's another thing. And you'd be able to get to see the kids. That's fine. You had partake in this to have these kids. You can see the kids all you want. But as far as being able to put another hand on me, absolutely not.
Exactly.
And the fact that she stuck around, and I get it. And listen, I've been to a lot of domestic violence talks at my high school and here at Iona College. And I've been to a lot of those, and I understand that some people are scared when they're in situations like that. They just don't know where to go, and they're just, better off like, to them, they think they're better off staying in that relationship.
Right.
And I get it, but come on, man. He said he hit her multiple times and was abusing her over years.
Did you hear about the story of when they went to the Pro Bowl? As I guess they were still together, and they went to the Pro Bowl because he was in the Pro Bowl a couple of seasons ago.
No.
And the NFL had to move her to a completely different hotel.
Because of that?
Because of that. Moved her, and I don't know if the kids were
he was abusing her while he was at the Pro Bowl? Like,
yeah. And the NFL moved her to a different hotel.
So the NFL knew about that whole thing, and they didn't do anything either?
Yeah, that's what I heard. My dad had told me about that the other day.
So then they're trying to put this on the Giants. Why didn't you act up? Well, why didn't the NFL act up too?
I'm sorry, but when you with the Giants, I remember when they cut Plaxico Burress over stuff like this.
Yeah,
it's because the Giants have a long-standing relationship with a organization that's out of Westchester, New York, about a domestic violence and helping.
Really?
Yeah, they're with domestic violence in general. They tend not to try to get families help and everything, and the women help. So that's a big thing. I also saw something on the news today that Victor Cruz is refusing to talk to the media about it.
He actually, before I came here today, I was watching ESPN, and they had like interviews about it. They were talking about it and everything, and he was like, right now, just trying to support my teammates. I'm trying to support my organization, my franchise. And they were like, well, what are your views on it? And he was like, I already told you guys my opinions. I think domestic violence is disgusting and it should not be tolerated at all. And they continue asking me these questions. He's like, I'm not talking about this anymore. And some people like Eli Manning have spoken out, and they're like, I'm supporting my teammate, and I'm supporting my organization, and that's what we have to do, and we have to get better from here. But you cannot take away the fact that this guy abused his wife. You can't take away from the fact.
And exactly. And like,
okay. And this was
horrible.
Yeah.
And as a woman, I feel horrible for her more than I feel for him, because he's never going to play another down of football ever again, which is perfectly fine. And he should never play another down of football ever again. But as a woman, now having all of this publicized and her life and things that happen, that has got to be horrible for her. And now to have the kids rewatch this is not okay. They should have taken care of this when this stuff was happening. And not, and not be doing this now.
Yeah. They said, so they cut him short. They cut Josh Brown out Tuesday afternoon, right?
Yeah.
And some people said that was either 6 days or several months too late. But John Mara, the owner of the Giants, the lovely owner, he said he ended a statement to the media trumpeting the team's commitment to the good people who work tirelessly to aid the victims of domestic violence, including a 20-year relationship with My Sister's Place, which is a shelter in Westchester. That's what we're talking about. But they said that Mara missed an opportunity to show strong leadership. Instead, in a clumsy interview with WFAN, he said that Brown told the Giants that he had abused his wife, but these are the words that will follow him. What I think is a little unclear is the extent of that. So the extent of the abuse is what they're talking about.
So I don't think
so. How much is okay? Or an occasional slap, like a kick, like he basically told you, I'm abusing my wife, right? And they were like, well, we just didn't know the extent of the abuse.
But that's not
abuse
okay.
Abuse is abuse, whether it's a physical abuse or emotional abuse. It's abuse. It is not okay.
Exactly.
None of that is okay.
None of it's okay. And
none of it is okay.
And that is something where the Giants organization had been good for so long of cutting people out and doing that. As soon as they found out about Plaxico Burress, he was gone. I mean, but this is something that they really need to step up and say, okay, I'm sorry that I was wrong and didn't know you can't say, oh, I didn't know the extent of the abuse. Okay, but it's still abuse. You should have been, you're abusing your wife.
Yep.
You need help. Yep. We're going to cut you.
Yep. So the rookie Eli Apple, who's a rookie cornerback who the Giants got in the draft, his mother, Annie Apple, what a name.
Right.
She ripped on Mara, and she said that he's insensitive, he's dismissive, and he's callous. She says, this is quote, by the way, this is word for word, how are you so-called champion of domestic violence but lack basic compassion for a victim. Yes, this man signs my son's checks, as I've been reminded on Twitter. Mr. Mara owns the New York Giants. He doesn't own Annie Apple. Wrong is wrong, and Mr. Mara's comments were unapologetically wrong and hit a raw place. You go, Annie Apple.
Exactly. You go, Annie Apple. And to be quite honest, just because he pays her son's paychecks does not mean that she can't voice her opinion. Yeah. It's something that she's a woman. She knows that, as this is like progressing and domestic violence is becoming a bigger issue, I feel like more women are coming together to talk about this. And I'm going to the She Summit, which is about a women's leadership conference. And I think that they do have a whole segment on domestic violence and marriage and relationships, which should be interesting because not every relationship is perfect, but it doesn't mean you can abuse your girlfriend or wife or significant other. It's not okay.
No, nothing excuses that.
Nothing excuses that behavior.
Nothing that excuses you hitting your wife. Absolutely not. And domestic violence has been such a big thing in the NFL.
It has been for a very long time.
And all that. Yeah, it has been for a really long time. And it's just, I think, sorry, I'm just going through this.
That's okay.
But I think that, Mara coming out and saying those things, like, we just didn't know the extent of it.
That's not something you say. You just
say it. You messed up.
Just flat out come out.
Now you're trying to fix it, and I get it.
Just flat out come out and say I messed up. I'm really sorry. I messed up.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to fix it now.
Hold on, wait a minute. Yesterday he made a statement.
Who?
What? I didn't see this.
Which one?
Statement from Giants Brown. I never struck my wife.
Oh,
Giants kicker Josh Brown released a statement to ESPN regarding allegations of domestic violence. He said, I never struck my wife and never would. In a statement, he added that abuse takes many forms and is not a gray area. I agree with that, but did he not say that he hit her?
Didn't he say he beat his wife just a couple weeks ago? That he hit her? I feel like he said
Brown's
that.
statement on Tuesday is much different in his public comments after it was revealed in August that he was arrested in May 2015 on domestic violence charge. He said in August that he disagreed with his one-game suspension for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy, called a domestic violence charge just a moment. He admitted to physical abuse of his wife in emailed letters, personal journal entries, and counseling exercises that became public last Wednesday. I have physically, verbally, and emotionally abused my wife, he wrote in documents obtained by New Jersey Advance Media from the King County, Washington Sheriff's Office. And then they have the full statement. Yeah, I read that full statement. No, wait a minute. This is the full statement he just released. I'm sorry that my past has called into question the character or integrity of the New York Giants. John Mara, or any of those who have supported me along the way, I have taken measures to get help so that I may be the voice of change, not a statistic. It is important to share that I never struck my wife and never would. Abuse takes many forms and is not a gray area. Through the past several years, I have worked to identify and recidify my own behaviors. Blah, 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 blah. I hit my wife. Blah, 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 blah. I am scum. He didn't say that. I said that.
Yeah. To be quite honest,
I don't think you would call it.
I have the same quote pulled up.
Yeah.
Okay, it's already public that you abused her, and then you say that you never did. That's
right.
not okay.
And him saying that it takes many gray areas. I get it. There's gray areas. I get that. There's a lot of different forms of abuse. Okay.
Right.
Whether you physically or emotionally abused her, you still abused her. It doesn't matter. You abused her. There's no getting out of this. I do not accept your apology, Josh Brown, even though I just saw you like a week and a half ago. Congratulations, Wing. You're going to be our new kicker. And there goes Josh's career forever.
Exactly.
Which, he's a lot bigger than I thought he was. I feel like he was always little.
Until you see him in person.
And then I saw him in person. I'm like, wow. His arms are huge. He's a big guy.
And that's scary to be married to somebody who is that tall and everything.
He's a very big boy. I don't like it.
So I think I feel like he really needs to get himself in check.
He does.
And this has now clouded the Giants' bye week.
Yeah, it has.
To be quite honest, because you don't hear anything about what the players are practicing or
no,
new plays.
all I've ever heard about is Josh Brown right now.
Exactly. And then, doing that. I feel like that has now clouded the Giants' bye week, which could have been such should be a positive turning point for them.
Right.
But now it's turned into this. And that is just not okay.
Thanks, Josh Brown.
Thanks, Josh.
You ruin everything.
Right?
God, can't stand you. Oh, man. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today, guys.
Yes, that is.
It's been It's been Sports Up. I'm Lauren.
I'm Kate.
And